Right, we are back with another Coach's Corner, and this time I'm joined with Laura Savino, if I say that right, yes,
Yep.
from Elevated Pursuit Nutrition. So here to join and talk to me about her coaching and how she also uses, obviously, Apotheo, because that's why we're here, to basically help her with that. So amazing to speak to you today, Laura. Thank you for giving up your time to come and do this as well. And so first and foremost, just probably the easiest thing is to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your coaching and how you got to be here now.
Yeah. So Elevated Pursuit was founded on the idea of how do I bring periodization, nutritional periodization, to our clients? Because one of the biggest things I see missing in the space is people actually giving their clients a plan that matches with their lifestyle. And while I was already, got my CPT almost a decade ago, or personal trainer a decade ago, I just didn't quite, branch out of the Fortune 500 company that I was very comfortable in until COVID times. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't working out anymore. And it's time to pursue that other like lifelong interest of mine. And so built a nutrition coaching business while deciding to work for a fitness company. And that has since evolved into a rather, large organization of, I've got 4 coaches and 1 admin. And we service hundreds of clients a year, helping them develop nutrition periodization for the lifestyle that works for them. Not just because they want a fat loss phase now. We build it and weave it into what their goals are based on their calendar year, their school's kid schedule, et cetera, et cetera.
Amazing. That's crazy. So yeah, I find that a lot of the calls I have and in a similar situation and come from that time around the pandemic where there was like these big decisions to make about, I'm going to go and do this now. So it's almost like the catalyst for something that has obviously become really successful. And that's a really cool thing to see happen. One thing I wanted to ask you, because I noticed it on like the email taglines and things, was the data driven human perfected. And I wanted to
Yep.
ask, is there a story behind that, or where did it come from?
Yeah, so I was trying to come up with some sort of tagline that really captured not just my approach, but my business partner Kate's approach and how we wanted to eventually cascade that down to the coaches we brought onto our team. And with the rise of AI and so many online calculators and things that do a really great job for very specific purposes, but they really fail with the human aspect. And so right when some of these AI automated apps came out was when my kind of first year of coaching, and I sideline used both of them. And I was like, where are the fault lines of using some things like macro factor or carbon? They have some really great technology, but they fail on the human side in terms of behavior, in terms of explaining how it works. And then people live and die by numbers without understanding why those things are going to actually sometimes gives detrimental results for clients who don't understand how the process works. And so in thinking about how I wanted to convey what we do, we use data significantly, but I walk my clients exactly through it. And I say, hey, I know that this week you're trending up 2 pounds, but we're going to throw that in the trash because of all these other reasons. Whereas the AI apps don't understand that you're traveling and had your cycle and decided to drink 3 element packets in one day and had a massive sodium swing. So we understand that, we communicate that with the client and then go, hey, cool, we have this data piece and we're just gonna let that sit. And so that's where the kind of the merging of where I don't see that AI, at least now, is going to be able to bridge that gap of the human connection to understand how to interpret that outside of just numbers and graphs.
Yeah, it's really obviously because it's becoming so much more intertwined in day-to-day life, and I would often think about that. Will they be able to do things like that? And I mean, part of me hopes not, but it's and why can't we just use it for other things as well? Like we should be using it for other stuff that's way more like needed, and then leave the coaching relationship side to actual humans. But yeah, I really liked it when I saw the tagline. So it was a cool way to put it across. It reminded me of I can't remember where I saw this before, when someone was said about because everyone goes on about being evidence-based. So it's like evidence-based has become this thing now, and sometimes on the negative side of things as well. But then evidence-based and experience-informed, I think, which is a really cool way of putting it. So like you're combining the experience with the evidence as well. It kind of reminded me of that, but it's good. Cool.
Well, I mean, I think with the even assuming that some of these AI technologies as they are now, let's say they actually capture a lot of the things we just talked about. I mean, how many clients? I mean, I get dozens and dozens of Apotheo submissions a week, and it isn't until the phone call that they'll tell me, "Oh yeah, I actually flew on an airplane this week," or "Oh, XYZ happened." And if they can't remember to put it in their weekly check-ins when I ask specifically for, "Hey, did anything major happen in your week?" If they can't remember it then until we have this face-to-face conversation, they ain't gonna remember to put it into an app too. So AI could get better, but I don't think the human side of remembering that this could actually be something that affects it is going to make it better.
No, not at all. Not unless they implant it like inside us, like Elon Musk is doing or something, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wanted to dig into. So you said you've got 4 coaches, is that right? 4 coaches.
Yes, I'm just bringing on a 4th coach right now. So
amazing. And then how's that developed and grown over the time period since starting out? How did you do that?
Yeah, so initially it was just me and an idea, as it always starts out. And then my business partner, Kate, who was kind of there in the beginning, along with a couple other friends, we said, okay, I'm like, hey, you know what? You're a fantastic coach. You do all the things that I don't do. Like, I love to focus on kind of lifestyle physique, but I'm not an endurance athlete. Like, I have no interest in running. I'll hike in the summers, but she is like an endurance athlete who also has a physique focus. And so I was like, let's merge because you're a fantastic coach. I'm really good at the systems and business side. And if we do this together, then you don't have to do some of those things that you suck at. And I can give you all my people who want to, like, for some reason, decide to sign up for me and are running the Boston Marathon. I'm like, look, guys, I'm not your coach for running a marathon. Like, nothing about my content or anything says that. And so we partnered up, and then we have 2 kind of offerings right now. So we have one-on-one coaching, which we use Apotheo for. And then we have group cohorts, which is kind of our off-ramp oftentimes, or a proposition for clients who either don't have the funds to do one-on-one or have been around the horn with coaches before, and they're just like, I'm not in a place where I really need a one-on-one phone call. And so when we had these group cohorts, that was kind of our specialty, where you either, you enroll for an intro to maintenance, intro to muscle building, intro to performance maintenance. And as those clients come on, then we're like, okay, sweet. We have a weekly call. It's for a set period of time. Here's education, et cetera, et cetera. And then the good news is everybody's really interested in signing up. The bad news is there's only so many hours in the day that we can have these phone calls. So that was where I was like, we need to start future planning. And so helps my husband's in HR and does all this stuff all day about like workforce planning. So I saw the writing on the wall and I was like, I need to hire somebody before we get to the breaking point. And so I brought on Mickey, who had been one of my clients, who's already doing some sort of like group coaching. And she's a coach herself because I coach a number of coaches to help them with their systems, et cetera, as well as nutrition. And Mickey came on, and I've just brought on my next coach, Carly, who also is experienced in that group environment, to make sure that we still have that ability to service the people who are interested in our services.
Yeah. And I like the way that it's that kind of evolved, and doing it with the people because it sounds like they're people you already knew in your space anyway, right? So they've already been part of your world. So it makes sense for them to have that understanding to then come into this as a role. So I like that. And then how does it work in terms of your like the marketing and where your clients come from mainly? What happens there?
Yeah, so right now we have our kind of Instagram presence, but I do try and get people into our email ecosystem and funnel. That's still something I'm actively building out so that we have some owned marketing, not just external Instagram facing. I will say prior to 22 and 23, I worked for a fitness company, Paragon Training Methods, and had a large interface with their 3,000 members and was able to kind of build that trust as a coach in both the performance space and nutrition space. And so with that combined, we did gather a larger audience than I think if I had just been solo Instagramming without some of that reshares or having, kind of that people who understand that the trust us. So I will say, I can't take credit of like, oh, my Instagram content is so great that we've attracted 100 clients. I'll be honest, like that is probably not the case. We had a good partnership, symbiotic with them. Since then, I've moved on to just working on elevated pursuit nutrition 100% by itself. But we've gathered a number of, clients from that. And part of it is being very niche and very open. Like people follow me because I care about data. And like, I just want to see stuff. I don't want to hear about the feelings. I don't want to hear about woo. I'm like, just please explain to me how to build muscle without gaining a lot of body fat. Oh, you have to gain body fat. Okay, well, what are the things I need to do to get there in a very kind of matter of fact way? And I've laid it out dozens and dozens of time, not just with myself. I'm like, hey, here how clients are working through it. Here's how to do the numbers yourself. And so, I mean, I think I've given away our entire process piecemeal 1,000 times, and I don't care, because if somebody takes that and they run with it, and then I come and find out, as we just did our last launch, most of the people who signed up are like, oh yeah, I tried to do everything you did, and like, you've given away so much free stuff that I just want to pay you because I feel like you've changed my life in nutrition. And like, those people were lurking for 6 to 9 months. I had no idea. I mean, you don't know who's out there, but you go and go, okay, I'm just going to continue delivering on what I find interesting and in my personal voice, in my way of saying it, and somebody's going to find value from that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is a really good point to get across in terms of when you mentioned around the niche side of stuff, because I think sometimes coaches get fixated on it. It's got to be a specific person, has to fit in this bracket of age, it has to be a man or a woman, and all this stuff. Whereas you're really building this around almost like a personality, if you want to call it that, but like data driven. So like people who like data, if you like that kind of stuff, come see me. This is what we do, right? I feel like that's a really important point to get across, because you can do it off all manner of different things, like outcomes that you deliver, and also the people you want to work with. And then you're working with the right people, right? So you're getting the people you want to come into your world. So yeah, it's cool.
Exactly.
And then also just touching back on the partnership side of things, which I think is a point that gets missed sometimes. Like, we're trying so hard to win the internet and build followings that we forget about all this other stuff that you can do. So it's an important part to still have those connections, and that network that you built has obviously been able to support you to get it where it is today. So yeah. And in terms of going forwards, then are you looking at doing any more in regards to like the email side that you mentioned, or anything else planned from a marketing point of view? Or?
Yeah, that is my summer, like end of summer to-do list. Is I know it's like early April right now, but my goal in the next kind of few months is to build a better email funnel, and so to speak, of how do I, we've created all these resources, and so working back into how, if you sign up for our email list, because one of the ways that we get people in, aside from the usual lead magnets, freebies, etc., is we offer our services. If you're on the email list, you get a week of first dibs. That gives you a week to understand, like, hey, here's what's coming up in the next launch. You get a week to schedule a consult call. And we've sold out a number of our launches before they even make it to like public launches, because they're on the email list. And so part of my goal is that when you get on the email list, there is a little bit of a, hey, here's some other resources you might find helpful. I just want to build that out a little bit more robustly, because I think there's a lot. I'm leaving a lot. I know we're leaving a lot on the table right now. It just hasn't been, when we are currently selling out, it's hard to go, I need to allocate time to do this. But I know that for the future, that is something I have to build, because I'm bringing on more coaches. That means I have more availability. And so while we sold out 40 spot launches, are we going to sell at 100 spot launch in July? I don't know, but I want to make sure that I'm prepared if that happens.
Yeah, I like it. It's cool. I think this ties in quite nicely in terms of like data and the metrics and the marketing in terms of Apotheo. So how did you find Apotheo initially?
It was referred to me by a coaching friend of mine. So Erica Elko, I don't think she's currently one-on-one, or she is. Like, she is a coach for executive coaches. She's a badass. But she recommended it to me because I was like, I need a system that doesn't rely on me having a Google sheet and emails. And I have been through a number of coaching certifications, and I didn't love how they recommended you to manage your clients. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I will pay. And then the people are like, well, I don't want to pay for a coaching. The $10 I spend per client per month is the best $10 I spend per client per month, because I open my dashboard and it's like, oh, you need to, touch base with these 7 people. I'm like, check. I already texted them. Or, yep, I need to go follow up with that person because they keep skipping their check-ins because they're traveling, and then they say they're going to get to it and they don't. So Erica recommended it to me. I love that it is continuing to get updated every day. My clients enjoy using it for plugins, etc. And it makes it just seamless, because I had tried at the very, very beginning of coaching to do the like Google sheet, and people sign in and I'm like, oh, I love this. I built this amazing sheet. And everybody's like, I don't have a Google account, or I don't know how to use this, or how do I find the grams of alcohol that I tracked? And I'm like, oh, okay. So moving everything to just, hey, just click this button to sync with Cronometer and click this button to sync with Apple Health. And all you have to do is answer 5 questions. You're like, oh, this is so much easier. So client retention, when we moved after the first 6 months of doing things the Google Sheet way, significantly better, peace of mind. And also the integrated Calendly link like saves my life all the time. Because I tell clients, I'm like, hey, if you want to call this week, it's on you. Like, open the app, schedule a call. If you don't do it, that's not my problem. But you should do that, because otherwise you're just going to get some bullet point check-ins and you're not going to tell me that you flew to Disney and walked 30,000 steps. All I see is that you had 30,000 steps on Saturday. So yeah, it makes anything that makes the onus on them to like do the work, so that I get to just focus on coaching them is 2 thumbs up in my book.
Yeah, I was going to ask what you used before Apotheo. So was it Google Sheets? Was that the one?
Yep, Google Sheets and calendar system, and I mean, it got the job done, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then was there anything specific that, it may be quite obvious, but anything specific that made you choose Apotheo? Did you look at anything else, or?
Yeah, I looked at a handful of them. So actually, this is going to be somewhat counter. I did not want to use any of those other unnamed apps that had their own food tracking in, because they're subpar to Cronometer or Macros First. And so I didn't want to okay, well, I'm going to use this coaching app that's really designed for strength training, but has a little bit of a nutrition, but also has an integrated food tracker that sucks. I'm like, let's talk about barriers to entry here. Like, if somebody's already been tracking, because again, my clients have already been tracking for the most part. I have very few one-on-one clients that come to me who have never tracked a day in their life, because if they're not data people, that Venn diagram doesn't overlap. And so they've tracked, and they're like, wait, I don't want to come off whatever food tracking app I have to like work with you. Like, that is like, I would be pissed. So I wouldn't want to be a client who's like, oh, cool, you have to use this subpar tracking app because it integrates with this nutrition coaching software. So that was one of the biggest things. The second thing was just having the client dashboard and automating payment system. So one of the reasons that I'm attracting, or I picked some of the coaches I brought onto my team, and I've also moved them onto Apotheo, because they were doing, systems where like, okay, I have a like calendar where I have to send a PayPal once a month on the first. I'm like, you are leaving money on the table. Like, if that person doesn't pay it, then you're chasing them down. I'm like, you're saving. So part of it is like moving on to Apotheo, you save so much time and resources not having to deal with that. Oh, your payment failed. Like, you get kicked out. Not like, oh shit, I have to chase you down. Like, you get kicked out until you submit payment and goes, hey, like, go update your card, and then move on. So obviously there's a lot of other like happier things there. But when I think about, I'm, prior a packaging engineer, so anything that comes in from that data side and is efficiency, I am all about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely. It still blows my mind to this day. I don't obviously still see it happen, but coaches all like invoice. I'm like, surely you must spend hours every month just doing the invoice, but then chasing it up, and then I'm like, you can do this now.
Well, I think what even blows my mind more is that I'm in a number of nutrition coaching groups, and they're all like, I'm hiring for billing, admin, and appointment setting. I'm like, or $10 a month plus the Stripe fee, and you just use a good software, but you're allergic to using efficient software, and so instead you're going to pay somebody's salary. I mean, like, I'd rather pay somebody like to run my Instagram than I would to bill people. Like that, it makes no sense to me. They're allergic to paying the $10 per month per client, but they'll go hire somebody to do their billing for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in terms of your, like, the transition from moving into Apotheo, how was that from Google Sheet?
Oh, it was very easy. Yeah. I just was like, hey guys, we are moving over, and I sent it to them when their next like billing date would be, and it said, hey, sweet, everybody's moving to the next system. I mean, I know there are other ways you could do it, but it just made it easier for me to be like, okay, Anna Marie, you're swapping over on March 10th, because that would be your next billing date. You'll get this email, fill it out. Cool. We'll move on to the new system. So everybody was very pleased to move on to that and off of Google Sheets.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in terms of just the system itself, so Apotheo, like, how do you find the onboarding? Like, when new clients come in, how do you do anything specific with it? Anything you do? Yeah,
I do. So I actually just rewrote our SOP for our company, so with the new coaches coming on, that they can follow it too. I have a welcome email. So well, let's see. We'll go through the process. Step one is we have a call, because I'm not going to do this over text message. If you're a client of mine, you know that I would much rather call you or send you a voice memo than like send 1,000 text messages and emails. It's just not my style. So we have a call and we go, sweet, Laura, I want to sign up. And I'm like, great. I'm going to send you a welcome email and an Apotheo email. So I go and send them the sign up. And then I have a draft like skeleton of what a welcome email looks like. I copy paste it into a doc for them, which I know this could be automated via Zapier, but I like to add some personalization. Like, hey, Mary, it was so great to meet you. Like, enjoy skiing in the Alps this weekend or whatever they're doing. And then I also put in there, because in that introductory call, we talk about what your plan is. Again, like our business model is building people a plan. So, hey, Mary, from our call, this is our high level plan for the next 6 months. So you immediately get that buy-in when they're already signing up. We go, okay, hey, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. They get that email and the Apotheo email. Additionally, in there is we use Mighty Network as a community for our cohort members and our one-on-one clients. So in that community is an automatic process that goes, hey, here's how to submit an Apotheo check-in. Here's how to integrate Apple Health and Google Health. So it's not anything that I have to do. I just go, hey, sign up for our community. There's tons of tutorials in there, as well as recipes and all sorts of like any affiliate programs we have, some like discounts, et cetera, et cetera. High incentive for people to join. We also have like engaging posts in there once a week, et cetera. So they go through that. And then the amount of questions I have after is usually the only question I ever get is, I think I synced my Apple Health, but I don't know if it's showing. That is the one question I get. And everybody else is like, oh, after the first check-in, it's a breeze, because they go, oh, I saw the resource in Mighty Network, or, oh, I saw, all these things came through. And so once they finish their sign-up form and you look at it, then I have another email that's like, okay, sweet. Thank you so much. And we put it in the Apotheo messages and I go, just a reminder, here's our plan. And here's your week 1 targets and any habits that we've added. And so it's a relatively, 15-minute onboarding process. Now that the onboarding is built out in Mighty Network and I have all these skeletons, I just add the notes from our call and then I add any notes and habits, and that's it.
Nice. Like it. Yeah. Still having the element of personalization though, isn't it? Because you're still doing those bits. Like I still think that's an important part to have as that onboarding, because you could go full on just generic, everything is the same, and then like automate the whole lot, but you miss that bit out, don't you? For what it takes, it's not that much more, is it?
Agreed.
Yeah.
When the 90% is automated on how to nuts and bolts, I think it's worth spending that 10% of time going, okay, hey, here's the plan. And also the best part about is when I write that welcome email, I'm like, here's the plan. I immediately copy paste that to the coach notes section of their profile at Apotheo. So I'm like, oh yeah, hey, Mary, again, this is our 6-month plan. And then every time I open their check-in and every time we have our call, there it is in my notes section to make sure that I don't forget anything important. I also write down in that notes section what their spouse's name is or kids, just so that I have that like top of mind. I think it's really important for that personal touch. Like, people are paying you for you. They're not paying you for your nutrition knowledge at the end of the day. They're paying you because they think you guys have a connection where we can help build behavior bridges to get to where they want to go. You can pay anybody for this. You could buy some books and learn it yourself. Like, if that's what they wanted to do, they do that. But they sign up with you because they know that you can build the relationship to help them get from A to B. So that's why I agree that personalization is incredibly important. And I have no interest in automating that piece because it doesn't take that long. And it also helps me build that connection and bridge of what I know that I'm going to be doing for the next 6 to 9 months with them.
Yeah. And is there, because you mentioned around there, like taking the notes and putting it into their dashboard as well. Do you do anything else with the software itself? Any kind of like customization that you've done to it, or any other things you use it for?
I have no. I think honestly where it comes out, I've customized the questions a little bit. But other than that, I think it's a pretty great out of the box product. The questions obviously you should customize. One of my favorite questions that I think people underutilize is, would you like to schedule a consult call this week, and put that in their check-in form? Or not consult, would you like to have a check-in call this week? Because I know that sounds a little bit counter, but there are plenty of times where your clients are super busy, especially if you are a higher maybe price point coach, where they're super busy and I'm like, oh, I'm in maintenance mode. Like, I actually would rather not have a call. Can you just send me a voice memo, or can you just send me an email? Versus cluttering your calendar with all of these standing calls. Then you get on, you're like, cool, like we're 6 months in and things are going the way they should. We've now turned this check-in call into book club because we have nothing to talk about because you're doing great. And so that one call was sent into like, oh, hey, would you like to have a call this week? And then they remember, or sometimes they forget to tell you that they're, again, flying to Disney and that they scheduled it and they didn't cancel their call, and then they no-show you. So that one little question I will say is, I recommend to everybody, if you are a person who does calls, that way you can easily go, okay, cool, they're going to schedule a call this week, or no, I need to cancel it, and then therefore go ahead and submit the check-in. But out of the box,
Yeah,
I really didn't change much.
yeah, that's cool to know as well. And yeah, I agree with you on that, being underutilized as well. Maybe for fear of like, oh, what if everyone books? But like you mentioned that, they probably won't. So you'll be all right. And then in terms of like any, I suppose, any obstacles, anything you've come up against, like would there have been anything in regards to like maybe when you were first choosing it, did you think, oh, I'm not quite sure about that, or anything like that at all?
Yeah, there's a few things. So again, being data driven, I actually built all my own sheets for tracking their steps, average nutrition, and weight, because I have bulking or muscle building, fat loss, and maintenance models that also back into what their rolling maintenance calories are. And that is probably the one thing that I wish the software did a little bit better. But basically, I have it linked in the notes section. So every time I open up Chris's check-in, I click on the sheet, opens a Google Sheet. I just drop in a handful of data points. It takes 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But that way I have this big picture view that I think is a little bit, that more suits my brain and the data that we need to collect to make those decisions. Granted, I don't necessarily think this is what I do shouldn't necessarily be cascaded to all coaches, but there definitely be some like zoom out, zoom in views that I would prefer them to be able to have. Additionally, also would like clients to be able to compare their own photos and measurements. And I think they just don't really have a way to do that currently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, yeah, no, I get what you mean in terms of the being able to see the bigger picture data on there. I think, like you mentioned right at the beginning, there's always and Adam's always constantly developing, and always the things that get brought up. Again, I'll ask you on this as well, but like one of the points that always comes up on these calls is like whenever anything's positioned or brought up like that, you'll find that it just gets put on a list somewhere, and then later down the line it will become reality. So,
yep.
How do you find like this level of support with Apotheo and dealing with even with Adam, or just the support in general?
I actually have found Adam incredibly supportive. I've had to work with the prior fitness company. I did a number of software transitions, and I would say the level of support was quite lackluster. And so even when we've hit a few roadblocks, for example, when I part of the Elevated Pursuit journey is it went from like, an LLC under my business to I created a joint partnership. So a number of things had to change, business accounts, EINs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so we had to figure out, how do we merge, go from 2 individual coaches to like 1 company of coaches without interrupting any client payments, and what's the best way to do that. And it was actually right around the holidays of this year where we had to redo those things. Adam was incredibly responsive and helpful in getting that set up so that we were just set up to accept all new clients moving forward under a new EIN. And I also appreciate that he is super active in the Facebook group, even to the point of kindness on some questions that I would say probably could have just been answered if you just clicked a few buttons on the dashboard. Like maybe if you tried, you'd answer your own question, but it's okay. Everybody has to start somewhere. Yeah. And then I appreciate that we have regular communication about what's rolling out. Like that seems rather no-brainer, but I work with a number of other strength training softwares and other platforms that don't roll out the updates, and you go, wait, something changed. I don't know what changed. Why did it change? And so Adam is very communication forward when it comes to what's changing, what's in the works, and also realistic about like, yes, this can be done, or no, this can't be done, because yes, it'd be great for your business, but it's going to be detrimental for somebody else's business. And so the communication piece, I think, is the biggest part for me that I really, really appreciate. And also having a line of sight as to what's in the funnel as well.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That's good. And was there anything, was there like a moment that it sounds weird, but like a moment that you realized that, oh, you've made the right decision to use Apotheo, or?
This is not to throw shade at anybody under the bus, but I had a few other, I really got to think about what I'm going to say here. I have a few other I have a lot of coaching friends in the space, or like friends of friends, or just, people that you're aware of. And I saw them have massive meltdowns over changing platforms 2 to 3 times. And they're like, oh, I lost so many clients, et cetera, because they wanted like this one feature. And I think they struggled. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Like Adam continues to fix things. And I'm like, I'm happy with where it is because it works for my clients. At the end of the day, like, sure, are there some niche features that I would like to put in for my personal ones for EPN? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, like, my clients don't give a shit about that. They don't know what they're missing out on. They're happy with the results they're getting. And it was okay, I'm glad I picked the right platform the first time when I moved off Google Sheets, because I'm not experiencing these meltdowns. I'm not experiencing the integrated food tracker just sucking. And I'd rather have all the integrations rather than trying to have everything all in one. So I'm glad that it is a software that, instead of trying to do it all, does the coaching side the best and integrates with the best of the best integrations instead. So
yeah, absolutely agree with that. Yeah, the fact that it has those integrations, and also the connections with those people who actually created the different apps as well, and to have them in there. Mm-hmm. And then, like you mentioned, just being able to not have to try and please everyone. It's almost like, and almost to have that ability to communicate that. I think it's a really powerful thing, because like, you know what, we could do that, but actually we don't need to do that because it's going to not help everyone in this situation. So yeah, I like that. Anything that you would say how it's affected your business and like overall life in terms of how Apotheo has enhanced it or changed it in any way? Anything that stands out?
I think the biggest thing here is just it circles back to efficiency. Like, without even having to really customize anything, the automatic billing, automatic reminder of clients to submit their check-ins. Hey, you skipped your check-in, what happened? And then all I have to do is open either my dashboard or my inbox. And if client's check-in gets skipped, I'm like, something's going on there. We haven't touched base in 5 days. Let me go ahead and shoot them a message and see what's going on. And I don't have to think about, I don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning going, oh shit, did I like reach out to that client? No. Oh, it's been 2 weeks. No, I know, because I open my dashboard every day and I'm like, yep, I've touched base with them, or nope, I need to go send them a message. And from somebody who's a very systems oriented person and incredibly busy trying to manage my clients, I'd rather spend my time managing, like talking to my clients, than managing the back end of things. And so for me, again, it all comes down to, I don't have to think about putting anything on my calendar or any sort of like to-do list on a daily aspect, aside from talk to my clients, send them notes, update any sort of habits or targets or behavioral things. And that's it. Like, don't have to do anything else. And that part is primo, because then I can spend my time, developing new coaches and working on like the actual growth or marketing or email things that I need to get done eventually.
It's good. And what is the next stage for EPN? Like, what have you got coming up? Anything in the vision, or what's going to happen?
Yes, I do have some things that I can't talk about right now, but what I will say is that we are introducing, thing I can't talk about is we are introducing running coaching. So all of our one of the reasons why I picked the coaches I picked is that we all have a very different skill set. So mine is very focused in like physique development. I've done a number of biomechanics certifications, et cetera. One of our other clients, or my business partner, Kate, all of her stuff is integrated health and running and endurance training. So she is writing some running and endurance programs that will be debuting for our hybrid athletes who are already following a solid strength program but need better training. And so why would we not, if we have that skill set, develop it? My other two coaches, so myself and Kate, are not moms yet, but one of our other coaches is a mom, and she's also perimenopause and has really great relations with that age demographic, and relates better. Like, I can only say I relate so much, but she does an incredible job of doing that. The other coach we're bringing on, also a mom, a little bit younger, and also kind of in the strength but sports world focus. And so by diversifying our team and playing to each of their strengths, that allows us to open a lot of doors for 2024 plans.
Good. You can't tell us though. It's a secret.
No,
I'm looking forward.
It's a secret.
I'm sure I look forward to seeing what comes out. But then, if people want to find out a little bit more about what you do, where's best to go?
Yep. So you can follow probably like Instagram to start, and then you'll see plenty of other opportunities there, but at Laura Justine Savino or at Elevated Pursuit Nutrition. And from there, you'll also see my business partner with Kate and our other coaches, Nikki and Carly. And then behind the scenes is my sister, Hannah, who runs the EPN Instagram and does a number of other like admin things that I cannot be in all places at once.
Epic. Amazing. Thank you for that. It's been good. Great to get an insight into that. And yeah, thanks for coming on here and sharing all those aspects. And yeah, look forward to seeing this come out.